What do you think that's going to happen? The only logical conclusion is there are going to be less goods on the shelves. And it's not only going to be, your toys and electronics and things that you can get by without during a recession. It's going to be food, vegetables, fruits, grains, all sorts of things like that we import. We import a lot of beef and pork and things like that, even though we have it here.
Rubio's foreign policy views were diametrically opposed to Donald Trump.
Like completely the opposite in every way.
Exactly. And how do you flip from being a pro-democracy, human rights supporter, very gung-ho for foreign intervention, to now just quietly going along with Trump?
I guess we would call it. Trump was busy torching the markets with his usual bravado, threatening to fire Fed Chair Jerome Powell, announcing 245% tariffs on China, floating a plan to nuke every trade agreement on earth. And the result was that stocks collapsed, bonds and the dollar tanked, global investors fled for safety. And by the middle of this week, Donald Trump started pumping the brakes. Suddenly, Trump started saying, no, the tariffs on China are going to come down. The 145% tariffs were too high. Suddenly, no, Jerome Powell's job is very safe. I was never even thinking of firing Jerome Powell, despite posting to Truth Central that he should be fired. This is not strategy. This is panic management, crisis management. And what's truly disturbing is that this warning had to come at all. Because you would think that a president who is the best on business and the best on economics and just so good on this stuff, this was Trump's main strength, we were told.
I want to ask you, Catherine, about this great bit of reporting from Rolling Stone today about the tariffs and about preparations that are happening. I'm sure this has happened to you and people that people have been like front loading their consumption.
I'm hearing from newly evolved preppers and hoarders.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And it has a little bit of that texture of the early COVID days of like, oh, go get all the paper towels. So this is a great bit of reporting in Rolling Stone. 2 Trump administration officials and a Trump aide tell Rolling Stone they have done some stockpiling of their own in recent weeks or months. They know others working in Republican politics inside and outside the administration who are doing the same. One of the Trump officials says they have already run to Target to bulk buy toilet paper, some types of food, other household supplies. When asked why they're doing this, a Trump aide who says they and their partner have done similar household hoarding lately are also stashing cash reserves in their D.C. area home simply replies, because it would be stupid not to.
Well, to be fair, Doge has also been responsible for toilet paper shortages at some of the federal agencies.
Oh, that's true. Yes, because they cut off some contracts.
So I think we've talked about this before. So even without the tariffs, people might be worried about their paper products.
But in this case, again, all of this is so strange because we're in this period of uncertainty because of the lag that happens with supply chains. So we're all kind of pacing out what this is going to be. There was a bunch of bulk ordering that happened. We got the first ship today, sort of arriving, I think, the last ship that's like pre-tariff.
Yeah.
But it does seem like we're going to experience some real consumer disruption.
Yes, absolutely. Not only because prices are likely to go up, but because we're going to have vacant shelves probably pretty soon. A lot of the stocking up that's happened has happened with these durable goods, things that are not perishable, right? Washing machines or furniture or things like that. The real pain that's going to come sooner is going to be on things that companies can't stock up on, like groceries.
So a lot of people are talking about the shortages on shelves, that they're kind of on their way. Trump's tariffs have kicked in, and nobody noticed anything over the last month or so, but now they're starting to notice that now the new orders are coming over, and these container ships are not only like half empty, or half full. They're not as plentiful. They're not coming as often. So I've heard some tips. You don't need to panic buy. I guess people are going to Costco and they're lining up like it's the pandemic again. It's not going to be like that. But, these tariffs are going to have an effect on not only prices, but shortages. You don't have to panic buy. You don't need to panic buy paper towels. You don't need to panic buy things like toilet paper and toothpaste. That stuff's manufactured in the United States. But you know what's a good idea? When you go to the supermarket, Now, tomorrow, let's say you're buying a tri-tip roast, right? Buy two, put one in the freezer. Next time you buy chicken, buy two, put one in the freezer. Another really good tip someone gave me was, and I don't eat canned vegetables and fruits. I like to buy fresh. But they said, times like this coming up where there may be shortages. So you go to the supermarket, you have the money, but they're out of stuff. Your next few trips to the supermarket, start buying like cans of your favorite vegetables, I guess, green beans, Brussels sprouts, even potatoes, and also fruit. Buy canned fruit, but also buy frozen fruit. Throw it in your freezer. Just kind of stock up week by week as time goes by, and let's see how things go. Because right now, Trump is not backing down off these tariffs, and it's going to wreak havoc. And things are going to get expensive for some people, but for those of us maybe who can still spend the money, it won't matter because a lot of the shelves are going to be empty. So don't panic buy, but buy staples and things that last for a very long time and put them away.
I mentioned in another video about the food supply shortages that are coming up in about a couple of weeks, because there are a bunch of shipping containers that are currently empty. There's a bunch of returns that are pending due to the Trump tariffs. He's definitely decimating America, and especially if he isolates America. There are so many businesses right now that just cannot get the supplies in that they need to continue on with their business. There's businesses that are closing and shutting down like crazy right now. There's so many people here in the U.S. that are being hurt by these tariffs. But not only that, but the packaging isn't readily available. So that's going to hinder, food being on the shelves in the grocery stores. There's many things. I mean, not only that, but the vast climate change issues that we're having with wildfires and flooding and just droughts and just all these different climate events are also impacting our food supply as well. So the best thing to do is don't panic, because panicking is how we create the hoarding mentality. And those who are poor can't do that, for one. But you remember with COVID pandemic, how there was no toilet paper on the shelves. Well, that's what happens when people get into hoarding supplies. So you don't want to do that. You want to, ensure that there's adequate supply for everybody, including the poor people as well. Not only that, but it's selfish to, buy up more than what you as your family is going to use. So you want to have enough for, a good they say 3 to 7 day supplies anyway. To always have that on hand if you can. Non-perishable foods. And a lot of people are starting to grow their own food because there's going to be a lot of lack of produce. I mean, think about it. We get a lot of our produce from out of this country. Avocados come from Mexico. I mean, there's so many fruits that we are, as a nation, can't even grow here. So, I mean, it's really hurting us. It's going to hurt us a lot. All these tariffs are just hurting us. But be prepared. Just don't be selfish. Just my thoughts. More thoughts, actually. Come to think of it, Trump has decimated farmers once again, just like he did on his first presidency. Decimated the farmers, and these wild immigration policies, have caused so many farmers to lose their workers, so on top of climate change, on top of just the financial devastation that Trump has caused to our farmers. Yeah, so that's another issue with food supply. So Trump's definitely destroying America a little bit at a time, pretty quickly actually. But isolating America, I think, is the worst idea. And I feel like when it comes to immigration, instead of creating better laws to where these people can become citizens and productive members of society who contribute to our deficits and our tax brackets, and just, instead of creating laws, these just getting rid of all of them and trying to isolate America. And to me, it's just so scary. It reminds me, every time, all I can think of is North Korea. he's the dictator of North Korea, Kim Jong-un. He's isolated everybody. And I feel like that's the reason why TikTok is being banned, considering that TikTok has more securities than any other platform that we use. And all these extra securities in place to make sure that no information gets to any other country. And yet TikTok's the one that's getting banned. I mean, it really makes you think, doesn't it? Because if they can isolate us and isolate our information, then that's the more they can brainwash us. Same with the education. The reason he's detrimenting education, the same reason. Because if you have knowledge, the more knowledge that you have, the less they're able to brainwash people and the less power that they have. And so they see that it's coming. They see that people have grown wise to the lies. They see everything that's going on, and they're trying their darndest right now to create a wealthy class kingdom that rules over the poor peasants, and the middle class is shrinking quick. Yeah. Anyways, tell me what you think. That's my thoughts.
So Trump's tariffs are going to cause a supply chain shortage. Do you remember what happened the last time we had a supply chain shortage? It happened during COVID. The prices of things skyrocketed and there wasn't anything on the shelf for the most part. If you were like a gamer, you couldn't find a GPU. Everything was being scalped. You had to pay like double the price to find a GPU or a graphics card or whatever. A lot of things were like double the price because people would buy them and then sell it on like the aftermarket so that they can make a profit. And you know what? I don't care anymore. I just don't care anymore. I don't care. Trump supporters hate trans people so much they're willing to sit here and accept fascism and cause economic hardship for Americans to prove that they are the more culturally superior them. I'll eat ramen all day at this point. I don't care. I already live a pretty simple life, and if things just become more expensive, I'm just not going to buy anything. And I think that's what a lot of us should do, is just stop buying things for the most part that we don't need and only buy necessities, and really buy only the things that, we need for the daily or weekly or whatever. Stop giving these companies your money. Stop buying a bunch of dumb. It's time to strap on our belts and choke this economy dry. Because at the end of the day, we are the ones who create all of the economic development and opportunity. We the people, not people like Trump and everybody in the wealthy elite. We do. We have the power. And if Trump and the MAGA fascists want to sit here and try to hurt us, well, we can hurt them the most by not buying anything from them. Go to your local gas station and just buy snacks or whatever, or some of them have fruits and shit. Just buy there. Like all of these big box stores, it off the economy. We should be working on trying to find some way to hurt these people. They want to hurt us, that's fine. I'm in this for the long haul at this point. And that's what we should be doing. Just everybody just start eating ramen and apples for like the next couple months and just wait this out like it's a war effort or whatever. Like, we all need to come together and starve the shit out of these companies. We need to tank this economy at this point. And I know it's going to hurt a lot of people, but you know what? MAGA don't care, so why should I?
America is this close to facing historic supply chain shortages, and people are blaming tariffs. And I'll give you a visual of this. So this is a pretty regular port. This is of the EU, so a pretty, regular trade situation. This is what it looks like. And then if we go over to East Asia, like China and these major ports, these major international ports, this is what a busy port looks like. And guys, the busiest port in the entire United States is the Los Angeles port, and this is what it looks like right now. And to give you just a bit of a reference, this is what the east coast of the United States looks like. Again, not that busy at all. This whole thing is really about uncertainty and how much uncertainty these tariffs have brought. I mean, for manufacturers, consumers, and businesses alike, this is all just very confusing for everyone. No one knows what's going to actually happen. But I will say, while the rest of the world looks like this, and while our busiest port looks like this, it's really no telling what's going to happen. I mean, of course, everyone's confused, but we're just going to have to wait.
They don't want, a handout. They got that the first time around. Remember that tariffs were put in place in the first Trump administration, and they did backfill that with cash. The farmers don't want that. that's a Band-Aid that doesn't do anything for them going forward. And I think their biggest fear with what's going on right now is that, not only are they not able to sell their product right now or export their products right, but that they will ultimately lose their markets. That countries aren't going to wait forever. They're going to go find somebody else who can supply what Kansas farmers have been supplying. So it is a huge concern, and one that I hope this administration will wake up to.
Hey folks, this alert in Alive. As you know, a lot is going on with the economy with this tariff war that is heating up principally between the United States and China. How is it affecting things so far? Well, 3 CEOs from the biggest stores in America, Walmart, Target, and Home Depot, met with President Trump a couple of weeks ago to talk about the tariffs and the impact it's going to have on the supply side channel of things. I'm reading that things are already starting to slow down at the Los Angeles seaport, that there aren't as many ships coming in from China going to drop off their goods, and thus truckers don't have as much to take. And these CEOs are basically telling the president that if the conditions don't change, we're going to see some pretty good shortages of items as summer starts, and some supply shortages as well. So what am I doing? Well, I'm getting things that I think I might need for the short term if there are shortages, kind of like what I did for COVID.
MAGA is about to understand tariffs for the first time. Experts say we're about to experience pandemic-like scarcity that could last for years. Average price hikes costing $5,200 a year and hundreds of thousands of jobs lost. But MAGA keeps falling for Trump's lies about the economy and changing their narratives about what the tariffs are all about. During the campaign, Trump said tariffs are a tax on other countries that won't affect the U.S.
It's not going to be a cost to you. It's going to be a cost to another country. It's a tax that doesn't affect our country. They're going to have to pay us.
That's probably why 46% of Republicans still believe tariffs will help the economy in the short term. But now Trump has admitted costs will rise and that they'll hurt the economy.
Maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30, and maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally.
So some Trump supporters changed their narrative again, saying, oh yeah, the tariffs will cause short-term pain, but it's for long-term gain. If that's true, when will we see the benefits from these tariffs? When will manufacturing come back to the US so we can all work in factories again? Experts say it could take up to 10 years. That's because it takes time to move manufacturing. We don't have the infrastructure. But even if manufacturing is moved to the US, products will still cost more. Trump's next lie that MAGA keeps repeating, he said that because of the income from the tariffs, there will be no income tax on people making less than $200,000. But that's not up to him, and that's not in any budget bills proposed by Congress. Plus, the tariffs wouldn't even bring in enough money to do what Trump's proposing. He's playing MAGA. He's effectively raising taxes on all Americans to pay for tax cuts for the wealthy, stringing them along with empty promises. The good news, some Trump voters are already waking up as his economic approval rating drops to 37%. Turns out owning the libs will get your self owned too.